Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8. This is right after Jesus talks about the signs of his coming at the end of chapter 17. And so we already have that context built in, context of the return of Christ. And with that in mind, and we get into this parable, we'll see, particularly at the end, that Jesus has in mind two specific areas of prayer. This is what Luke 18 is about, is prayer. And we'll see justice is the other one. So we have the return of Christ and we have justice as two primary elements to pray for. But that being said, we can see how this applies generally to many areas of prayer. Let's jump in. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. This is super helpful when you get a big purpose statement like this at the beginning of a parable. That's not something that we always get, right? But Luke is just making it super clear. The purpose of the parable, right? The purpose of the parable. And that's where this word to becomes helpful. The purpose of this parable is to show them that they should always pray and not give up. And so our key words, operative word, always pray. And we get the and, which is just a way of repeating himself, not give up. Right? So two words affirming that continual, that we should be praying continually. So if we're looking at this first point, we've just got the purpose of the parable, right? Which is keep on praying. All right, and then we can get into the parable and see what we see. He said, in a certain town, there was a judge who, so we're getting our description of the judge, neither feared God nor cared what people thought. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. Move that just one over to the left. We'll put the who on the right side. You could also do it like this if you wanted. Whoops. You could go like this. That would be fine too, but I'm going to leave it right here. The who operates in the same way that the to up here operated, right? There was a judge, right? And we get this description of the judge, okay? Neither feared God nor cared what people thought. So we've got two specific things. There's no fear of God in this guy, nor is there a care for what people thought. So whether it's God above or man beside him, he is not swayed by people, by their influence, by their thoughts. He is not swayed by God, by God's decisions, by God's thoughts. This is a man who is, and this is important, it's not necessarily that he's unjust, okay? So it's not that he's like a dishonest judge. He's just very prideful. He feels like he answers to no one but himself, right? So in this certain town, there's a judge who fears no one, not God, not man. And same time, you have a widow, right? In that town. And then the who describes the widow. The widow keeps coming to him with the plea. So we've got that special word here, kept coming to him. This is coming back above, that we should always be praying, that we should not give up. So she kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. Now that's exactly the sort of plea that anyone would go to a judge with, grant me justice against my adversary. But what's important here to note is that she keeps coming to him. That persistence is there. So now we have our characters in our parable. And the widow is the epitome of powerlessness. The judge is the epitome of power. And this widow has nothing, no sway, no representation in society. All she can do is persist. And so that is what she does. All right. Now we get to the kind of second act of this parable, which is also the final act. For some time he refused. All right. That's what we get. For some time, he refused. Now, it doesn't tell us how long, and he doesn't tell us why. So we might want to be wondering, well, how long and why? We don't get all of the answers, but we get some. But finally, he said to himself, all right, so this is telling us that this story is about to take a turn in a different direction. Finally, he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care what people think. And so this is just, for us, we see that the inner dialogue of this judge, I don't fear God or care what people think, right? This mirrors what we see above, that he doesn't fear God, right? Connection to there, or care what people think, okay? Connection to here. The inner dialogue matches the description. Not only do other people see him this way, this is how he sees himself. I don't care what God says. I don't care what people say. I am not beholden to anybody. I make judges the way I want to. All me, 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 me. That's this judge, okay? Even though this is true, even though, that's the operative piece there, even though this is true, yet, right? So we're looking for that connecting word for that even though above. I hope you see that very clearly. Even though this, yet, because the widow keeps, okay, now we got our second connection here. She kept coming to him. She keeps bothering me. Because of this, I will see that she gets justice. And he adds a little bit more. So that she won't eventually come and attack me. Right? So I'm going to give her justice for two reasons. Reason number one, she keeps bothering me. Reason number two, she might come and attack me. We'll unpack that one in a second. But he does say that I will see that she gets justice. So the woman gets her justice. Widow gets justice via perseverance. Perseverance. Maybe misspelt that. Sometimes I feel like those have an A in them. Okay. Even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice so that she won't eventually come and attack me. And then the question here, what does that mean, right? Literally, it's that she won't give me a black eye. And that, in our mind, black eye can be interpreted as punch in the face or, right, like the NIV is putting it here, is attack. But black eyes can also be just kind of disgrace or weariness. And so he's saying, like, I don't want any of the above. Maybe he's jokingly saying, I don't want to get punched by this old lady. Maybe he's saying, I don't want to be disgraced or I don't want to be weary. But in any case, he's like, between all of this, I will see that she gets justice. I'm gonna give her the justice that she's seeking. So now that we have our parable, it's time for interpretation. And this is where it's so important that we don't pull the wrong point from a parable, right? Because in this, if we're supposed to be praying to God and God is in the position of judge, are we supposed to take away from this that God doesn't care what anybody says? He's just going to do whatever he's going to do. And the only way to get God to do anything you want him to do is to bother him, right? And that would be the wrong takeaway. That would be the wrong takeaway. So not only do we get this intro, which gives us the purpose, we also get the application from Jesus, which is so helpful. Thank you, Jesus, for also giving us the application. And what we see at the beginning of this, and the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says, and will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? So we'll put some breaks in right here. Okay, so listen to what the unjudged says is the only command that we've got, is listen to what the unjust judge says. Give another, and not like obey this. So not all commands are like an obedience thing, but another way of just simply saying is just like pay attention, right? Notice what the unjust judge says. The unjust judge said, because this widow keeps attacking me, And because I don't want her to, or keeps bothering me, because I don't want her to attack me, I will grant her justice. So, will not, this is Jesus' application of this, will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who, right, who cry out to him when? Day and night. Who cry out to him day and night. Will he not do this for his chosen ones? Bring about justice for his chosen ones. By the way, Israel, often called God's chosen in the Old Testament. The church, often called God's chosen in the New Testament. God's going to bring about justice for his chosen ones who are persevering in praying for justice. They cry out to him day and night. You can go read Revelations 4, 5, 8, which talk about this prayer from the saints going up to God, asking him for justice. Will he keep putting them off? Right? Is this right up here? For some time he refused. Is God going to just keep putting them off? That's the question. This is what gets put on us. And we could ask, why does God wait? By the way, I'd recommend reading, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Not 4, 5, and 8. It is 5, 6, and 8. I would recommend reading these, and you will see there very specifically that God says, I am still bringing in my chosen ones. So wait a little while for my chosen ones to all come in, and then I'll bring my justice to the earth. Will he keep putting them off? We ask why, and you can find those answers there. But look at what Jesus says. He says, I tell you, he will see that they get justice and quickly. They will get justice and quickly. Just want to point out here that what Jesus is saying is it's going to happen quickly. It's going to happen. Some translations will go suddenly, which may be the case, but the more normal word that we would say something like this is it'll happen soon. Now, of course, we always want sooner, right? That's the case. We always want sooner, but the reality is that God is going to do this in soon. And of course, we can say, well, it's been 2,000 years, God. And the truth is, it is going to happen as soon as God possibly can, given he's not going to lose any of his sheep, even the ones that haven't been born yet. So he will see that they get justice. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen as soon as possible. Why? Because God is better than the unjust judge. Because he loves his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night. So he will see that they get justice, and soon. That affirmation of God's love and of God's faithfulness is the very reason why we should keep persevering. So we shouldn't keep persevering because we have this expectation that we'll be able to bother God into getting what we want, but because he loves us and because he's coming back for us and because he will fulfill his promises, we should be praying day and night. It's the character of God that draws us to him. Jesus, at the end of this, flips the whole thing on its head. He says, however, he's just reminded us of the character of God, but now he flips the script and he says, what about you? However, when the Son of Man comes, when he comes, this is a temporal marker, future date, Son of Man's coming, back to chapter 17, all about the Son of Man's return, right? When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? So, in other words, God is going to be faithful. God will be faithful. Question or exclamation mark. So, what about you? Are you going to be faithful? Will Jesus find faith on the earth when he returns? And given everything that we've just read, what would be the example of faith? The example of faith that Jesus should find when he comes back to the earth is that his people are praying and not giving up. That his people are praying and not giving up. Okay? I hope you see that connection. We should pray and not give up. This, up here in verse 1, is connected all the way down at the bottom to here. Will he find faith on the earth? That faith should show up in us persevering in our prayers to God because we know his character, we know his promises are true, we know he loves us, and so we keep on praying. Even 2,000 years later, we believe that he is coming and soon. And he's going to find us faithful because we are going to keep praying. The question, will he find faith on the earth? Maybe there won't be a lot, but there will be his children praying for his return, his children praying for justice, and I think his children praying for many other things in his name, and persevering in that because they continue to put their faith in him.